We'll be right back after the short break.
Thank you so much, Didi. And of course, I can't wait to get straight into it.
All right.
Thank you so much. Didi.
Yes, we have another guest joining us on the politics segment, Martin Obono, who is a legal practitioner and managing partner at TAP Legal Services. He will be speaking to us, there's a continuation on the humanitarian ministry scandal. Good morning and welcome back to the show. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So our previous guest, speaking on the same topic, made a statement, that stuck with me, saying this issue on ground now is actually a targeted attack on the minister, Betta Edu. What are your thoughts on that before we get, into it?
So there is a very interesting angle to that, where we always believe in village people in Nigeria. And I read somewhere a long time ago where an author actually talked about the fact that we are our own devils and Satan. So nobody signed the paper, the documents. She was the one who appended her signature to it. She was the one who was pressuring the Accountant General to make such approvals. She was the one pressuring her permanent secretary to allow such funds to be released. And so there is nobody targeting anybody. It's just the culture of impunity that we have been used to as a people in Nigeria. And the fact that this happened under the previous administration and a whole lot of corruption happened under the Ministry of Humanitarian, and nobody said anything. The president didn't bat his eye, neither did any of the anti-corruption agencies take any decision. And so it just feels like business as usual. And so she decided to do what she had done. And now people are saying she is not supposed to, she's witch hunted, she's been targeted, she's been done. And I mean, she's my minister representing my state, but I'm not going to sit down here and, excuse fraudulent actions or any kind of thing that would jeopardize the interest of Nigerian people, especially considering that that is a humanitarian ministry, a ministry that is supposed to be actually looking out for the downtrodden, for the poorest of the poorest, according to what the mandate of the ministry is. And people who are actually poor, people who 20,000 naira makes a world of difference in their lives. And then you take that money and you want to divert it, or you want to embezzle it, and you want to use it for your own personal good. No, that's totally unacceptable by me.
Okay.
Apparently this has been going on for a while. There was an article or a post, an infographic by Tracker NG yesterday, which showed at least 10 different payments that have been made to individual accounts for conditional-based transfer and the likes. I agree with you, the law should be the law, and what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Do you think this is a systemic issue that needs to be handled across board, or what are the legal ramifications now that we're here?
Okay, so there's a code of conduct for public officials, and there's also a regulation, financial regulation 2019 or thereabouts, that has been done. And that shows how a public officer should conduct themselves in terms of releasing funds and payment of monies or release of monies into accounts. So, for example, the TSA, for example, it was clear in Section 713 that no individual should pay their personal money into government accounts, TSA, and therefore no government agency should pay government money into personal accounts. That's clear. That's a regulation that you're supposed to abide by. And then that doesn't therefore excuse the fact that there are other ministries, that have done that. The same ministry also did that. There's a Premium Times investigation that came up and showed that Fashola, during his administration, paid certain amounts of money into personal accounts of people. And so you can't excuse that. It's the law. So if somebody said Betta, tweeted something about Betta Edu, and I was like, it is the person that is caught that is a thief at that point in time. So she is currently under fire for that, and she's got to basically face the brunt of it. And so we can't excuse that. It's a systemic issue. I quite agree. The system has also provided a regulation for you to follow. It's just the idea of Nigeria, anything can happen in Nigeria and nothing will happen, at the end of the day, that makes people, at some point, I want to really look at, use the rule of boxing. When someone is down, you don't overflog that issue. You don't come and start punching them again. So I kind of sympathize with her, because the person who is also a beneficiary of that, who is the Minister of Interior, Tunji Ojo, is working freely. He's not being invited by EFCC. His passport isn't being seized. He's not facing the public backlash that she is currently facing. And the question still remains that you are a New Planet company. Yeah. You're a stakeholder in that. You're a shareholder, not just a stakeholder. You're a shareholder. Your wife is a director in that company. What does the ICPC Act say about getting monies in that your family members have been, getting contracts where your family members are shareholders in that company or directors in that company when you're a serving minister? So the question should be that, is this a quid pro quo? Did they do something? Is there a transaction between them that she is paying for? What is it that Tunji Ojo is benefiting through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs? So these are questions that I think that we should be asking. She's currently undergoing investigation. She's been suspended. She's had enough. Maybe they'll prosecute her if they find her wanting. That's okay. But how about Tunji Ojo himself? Okay, so we have Public Procurement Act. What rules were followed? Were there any rules that were followed in terms of awarding that particular consultancy job to New Planets? Right? So we need to ask these questions, and if these questions are not answered, then whatever is happening could then be inferred as a witch hunt that she did to herself.
Yeah, but he also mentioned that he had resigned when he became a REPS member about 5 years ago, something like that. And also he has refused, the allegations and all of that. I want to know, is that enough grounds not to hold him responsible?
Everybody has a right to defense, and you can say anything. If I slap you now, I can say, oh, I don't know, my hand just moved.
Your hand don't move.
And, so that is no excuse in the real sense, because he has an interest in that company. His wife has an interest in that company. So it's not an excuse that absolves him of anything. And he's a major shareholder still in that company. So there's absolutely nothing excusing him from being picked up by ICPC to come and explain himself.
Final question for you, Matt. The president has taken some decisive steps. What's your overview on the fact that the National Social Investment Program has been suspended, BETA has been suspended, there's a special investigator, we've seen what has happened with the CBN and the 3 banks that had their boards dissolved. What's your take on the president's reaction to all of these cases, which we've seen in the last 2 months?
The president is moving, but there's no motion. If you ask me, because you can't have an administration where people are sacred cows. So you're touching Zenith Bank, okay? You've touched the bank CEOs, you've touched BETA, you've touched, what about Tunji Ojo? That's the question we are asking. So you've got to be complete so we understand that whatever you're doing, a lot of people, my friends, will not like these terms, but it's the truth. Like, if you really want to do an investigation or run a thorough investigation, go round. Don't beat about the bush. Don't leave some people and say no.
So no grief for anybody.
Exactly, no grief for anybody. So that's the honest truth, and that should be the position of every Nigerian. We're not saying that they're all guilty of this, because no law has found them guilty. But you can't carry out an investigation and give punitive measures, take out punitive measures on one person, and then the other person is just left to continue. No matter what good. He's doing fantastic work with the ministry. We understand that. But then, that's not enough. Has there been a breach? Has there been... That regulation actually talked about fraudulent intent. Yeah. Fraud is a crime, right? So if you breach that regulation that was done by the federal government, and then you're working, nothing is being done, nobody's inviting you, so I don't think the president is doing enough.
Matt, I think that's a good place to leave it. We'll bring you back next week to hear your thoughts on the Supreme Court rulings, which we had yesterday. There's some conflicting views, and also as this news is developing, we'll follow up to know how it goes. For next week, we'll talk about the Supreme Court rulings, which we've heard yesterday. Thank you so much for always joining us and sharing your legal opinions. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be discussing AFCON with Ayo Adams on our sports segment.